If you don't rectify it sooner or later, you have to rectify it at this time, Lin Jie pouted disdainfully. If a person's heart is biased, no one can do anything. There is a saying that if no one hurts me, then I hurt myself a little more. In a few days, she will leave here, and what happens to the people here in the future has nothing to do with her. Director Zhang was still afraid that Lin Jie would have an opinion, but when he saw that Lin Jie didn't say anything, he couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. This girl is now sharp-toothed and sharp-tongued, and she doesn't lose at all, and he is really a little afraid of her. Deputy Director Wang, you can say it. Director Zhang motioned for Wang to start construction. Wang Jianqi took a step forward, looked up at the people in front of him, and couldn't help but feel a little irritable. Although Director Zhang said that he would give them an ideological education class, Wang Jianqi knew that once he personally admitted the rumored things, Director Zhang's words would not be able to stop them. Glancing at Lin Jie, the woman was actually playing with her fingers, not caring about his embarrassment at the moment. Today, I want to apologize to Comrade Lin Jie. Wang Jianqi thought that he couldn't open his mouth, but it didn't seem to be so difficult to really say it. I have always refused to recognize the identity of Comrade Lin Jie, and today, I want to say that what she said to you about the two of us having a banquet is true. He confessed. Deputy Director Wang actually admitted it. Doesn't that mean that Lin Jie's fat man is Deputy Director Wang's daughter-in-law? Shoo. The two of us set up a banquet, but it was arranged by the family. I didn't agree. On the day of the wine, I said that the wedding would be cancelled, but under the prevention of my grandfather and mother, the banquet continued, but I left home and returned here on the same day. I have not admitted this matter all along, not because I am irresponsible, but because I have been communicating with my family and hoping that this matter will be stopped. It's good for me and for her. Deputy Director Wang, do you know that a banquet in our countryside is considered a family of two? That's right. In rural areas, setting up a banquet means that you have become married. I always thought that the fat man, no, it was Comrade Lin Jie who was lying, but I didn't expect that you didn't want to admit this matter because you didn't respond positively. Deputy Director Wang, you're not right, don't say anything about you leaving during the banquet. My family ran out to do tasks on the first night of our marriage, and we are not still two people. Now they have 2 children. A military sister-in-law ran over to join in the fun, and pouted with disdain when she heard Wang Jianqi say this. Yes, yes. Deputy Director Wang, you're a little sorry for doing this. Lin Jie never thought that one day these women would be able to speak for her. Actually, it is not difficult to understand that in the eyes of these people who have no thoughts, although she is fat, has a bad image, and is not worthy of Wang Jianjian, she is always better than the person who lost her virginity before marriage. Even those who have a mind also think that she is good, because she is easy to deal with, and she is not a threat. I am indeed sorry for Comrade Lin Jie, so I solemnly apologize to Comrade Lin Jie here. Wang Jianqi turned to Lin Jie, bowed with a serious expression, and looked at the beauty with a somewhat gloomy look. It was my fault that I didn't cancel the dinner in time, but I couldn't let it continue. I have no feelings for Comrade Lin Jie, and it will only be painful to be twisted together. What do you say, no feelings? Who still has true feelings when they get married? My family and I got married within 5 days of knowing each other, and we didn't have a good life. Young people pursue love. Actually, he might as well say that he dislikes fat people and looks ugly. Yes, that's a little more realistic. However, to be honest, the fat man is indeed not worthy of Deputy Director Wang. That's okay, but there's something wrong with the character. Everyone has their own love, and Deputy Director Wang is good for this. It's better to get such a thing to come to the family area, it's better to let the fat man come. No, I'll have to keep an eye on my family in the future. Wang Jianqi didn't like to hear such words, but he was powerless to stop these women's discussions, so he could only finish his words with his eyes closed, and quickly end this apology meeting that he would never forget. Today, at the request of Comrade Lin Jie, I will tell you about this matter. However, I still have that strong twisted melon is not sweet. New China has been established for more than 20 years, and arranged marriages are not advisable. Tomorrow, I will go home and settle this matter in front of all my fathers and villagers. We apologize for any trouble this may cause. After Wang Jianqi finished speaking, he didn't care about the women's reactions, and turned around and nodded to Director Zhang, "I'm done." Director Zhang glanced at Lindye. "Comrade Lindye, do you think it's okay?" "It doesn't matter, I just want people to know that I'm not lying, I don't care about the rest." Director Zhang was choked up for a moment, and muttered in his heart, "I don't care what you are doing with such a big battle. If you want people to know that you're not lying, I'll just give you a notice." Lindye didn't know what he thought. If he knew, he would definitely say, "It's you who toss." Without your connivance, the fate of the chubby girl in the book would not be so tragic. That's good. Stop talking. Deputy Director Wang has sincerely apologized, and Comrade Lindye also intends to fulfill it, and no one is allowed to discuss this matter at this end. Meeting. Director Zhang said. Comrade Lindye also intended to fulfill this sentence, although it did not say what it was, but everyone knew what it was about. In the hearts of everyone, this is the story of an outside woman squeezing out the right match. I couldn't help but feel a little angry in my heart, and at the same time, I also felt that Lindye was pitiful. Looked at Lindye's eyes with pity. People are so weird, when they don't like you, they will kick you in the mud. When I see you weak and pitiful, I am full of sympathy. Lindye turned a blind eye to the gaze around her. Leave behind Director Zhang, Wang Jianqi, and the man, not giving those women a chance to besiege her. The meeting is gone, and what everyone will talk about behind her back has nothing to do with her. Comrade Lindye, pack up your things in the afternoon, the train at 8:30 tomorrow morning, gather at the gate of the family area at 5:50, and leave on time at 6 o'clock, don't be late. Walking to the fork in the road between the factory and the family area, Director Zhang said. Okay, got it. Lindye didn't say much, turned around and strode away. Wang Jianqi was assigned to the house on the 3rd floor, opened the door. Lindye looked left and right. This was the first time she walked into Wang Jianjian's house. At the beginning, if it wasn't for the fat beauty girl who seriously affected Wang Jianjian's work, Wang Jianqi would not have let this house be lived in by the fat girl. The size of the house is not large, 1 bedroom and 1 living room. As soon as you enter the door, there is the living room. There is only a table and 2 chairs. The left-hand side of the living room is the kitchen, the diagonal opposite the main entrance is the bathroom, and next to the bathroom is the bedroom. The things in the house are all bought by the chubby girl, and the furnishings in the house are carefully arranged by the chubby girl. I have to leave tomorrow, although these things are slag in Lindye's eyes, but Lindye doesn't want to leave these things to Wang Jianjian. It's not that I'm reluctant, but I feel reluctant. There is no hurry to clean up the house, and it is the right thing to fill your stomach near noon. Lindye walked into the kitchen. The kitchen was very small. It was okay to turn around alone, but if it was 2 people together, they couldn't turn around. The coal stove in the kitchen was bought when the fat girl moved in, and the pots, spatulas, knives, and other items on the coal stove were personally selected by the fat girl one by one. Open the cupboard. The cabinet has 2 layers. The upper layer is placed with bowls and chopsticks and plates. There are only 2 sets of bowls and chopsticks, and there are only 2 basins. There is a bowl of lard, half a jar of salt, a handful of peppercorns, more than a dozen grains, a small jar of sugar, and the most of all the seasonings. There are 3 small bags in one corner of the kitchen, a bag of rice, 3 or 4 caddies, a bag of white flour, about 2 caddies, and the remaining bag of cornmeal, although it is the most of the 3, but it is only 7 or 8 caddies. The vegetables are rotten, but the potatoes have 2, but they are crumpled and not very good looking. Lindye picked it up and threw it away. Open the window and simply clean up the kitchen. Wash your hands and start cooking. At this time, she was extremely grateful to her mother in that life for sending her to her grandparents. The grandparents of that life lived in the countryside, and I don't know if the grandparents didn't like her mother or didn't like her. Anyway, no one spoiled her during the 2 years she stayed in the countryside, burning firewood, lighting the stove, stir-frying vegetables in a big pot, feeding chickens and ducks, and working in the fields. she's done everything. Light the coal stove, brush the pot and put it on it, scoop a bowl of rice, wash it, pour it into the pot, put 2 bowls of water, drop a drop of oil, and the white rice that comes out of this way has a smell of oil, which is particularly delicious. It takes about 30 minutes for the meal to cook, and while waiting, Lindy took a cold shower. Here, the most unaccustomed thing is not to take a bath as you like. Lindy remembered that there was a villa on her bracelet, and there was a bathroom in the villa for people to swim. The girl said that her space was her bracelet, and if that was the case, then the pool should also exist. Thinking of this, Maino couldn't help but raise her left hand. Her bracelet used to be worn on her left wrist, but now, there was nothing on her left wrist. She couldn't find her bracelet. However, she firmly believed that this bracelet existed. To be honest, Lindy really wanted to go into the space to have a look, but the girl told her not to worry, and to wait until her soul and body were completely compatible before going in. Lindy didn't know what it meant to be a perfect fit, but she knew that now was not the time, because she had tried, and as soon as she thought about entering the space, a blurred figure of a bracelet would appear in her mind, and before she could see it clearly, her head would hurt, and it was the kind of pain that caused her to have a splitting headache. Lindy believes that when the time is ripe, she will definitely enter the space. At that time, she could not only bathe as much as she wanted, but also swim freely. The rice was already cooked, and the sweet smell filled the room. Lindy suddenly felt so hungry. Lift the lid of the pot, use a spoon to dig out the rice in a small basin. There is a layer of pot baking at the bottom of the pot. Roll up the pot with your hands. The golden look is delicious. When you take a bite, it's fragrant and crispy, and it's really delicious. There were no vegetables, no eggs, and no meat in the house, but luckily she had it in her purse necklace. Although there are not many types of vegetables in the purse necklace, there are common cucumbers, tomatoes, beans, eggplants, and peppers. Lindy pinched a handful of beans and fried them in lard until fragrant, put some peppercorns, and then added salt and water. To be honest, she has never cooked like this, and it feels too bad to do this, but there is a saying that it is difficult for a good woman to cook without rice, and there is nothing at home, so she can only deal with it in this way. Although the method is simple and lacks labor and materials, the taste is very good. Of course, the good taste comes from the beans themselves, and the taste will not be bad when produced in space. After lunch, when Lindy was washing the dishes, someone knocked on the door. Lindy opened the door, and Wang Laning walked in one step. Maino, I heard that you will leave early tomorrow morning. The news came so quickly? The people in the courtyard have spread it all over. I'll stop here for a while, but I won't be able to get better for a while. Beauty, do you really leave early tomorrow morning? Well, Director Zhang said that he would gather at the gate of the family area at 5:50 tomorrow. Beauty, I'm a little reluctant to let you go. What's a little bit of? I'm big and reluctant to let you go. Lindy looked at Wang Laning with a smile, took her hand and walked into the room, and asked her to sit on the chair. You have a big heart, what do you say you should do this time? Don't worry about me, there is no endless road, and life will always be good. Lindy smiled absently. Hey, that's all I can think about. Beauty, you must write to me. No, I'll write to you, and you'll write to me. Right, definitely right. I'll tell you the fun things about this courtyard. No, I don't. The others don't have anything to do with me anymore. But too. Wang Laning nodded, those people are not good. Ingzi, look at the things in this house, if there are any in the picture, if there is, take them all, and leave none of them. You don't want it all? Wang Laning looked left and right, although there were not many things, but she knew that everything in this room was purchased by Lindy herself. She still clearly remembers that Lindy was so happy at that time and was full of hope for life. But now, I'll keep the futon. The bedding is newly made, new cotton, new quilt cover, and it has not been covered for a few days, so I am a little reluctant. Actually, it's the chubby girl's house that the conditions are not good, and the old quilt has always been covered. For Lindy, other things can be compromised, but bedding and food cannot be compromised. You want to pack and take it away? Wang Leining was a little surprised. These are 2 sets of bedding, and Lin Jie at that time was made according to the wedding quilt, and it was particularly thick. Carrying 2 luggage rolls on his back to catch the train. It must have tasted bad. By mail. It's too hard to walk on your back. Although I walked with Wang Jianjian, I didn't want them to help. The duffel bag is too big, and there is no longer so much free space in the storage bag, so it can only be mailed. You don't need their help, just pack it up and send it away. Curtains, tablecloths, chair cushions, and these pots and pans can all be mailed away. It's too hard to clang, I just need the futon. Pots and pans can be put in the storage bag, but Wang Leining came a little early. These things have already passed the road under Wang Leining's nose. Lin Jie doesn't want to cause trouble, so don't want things. It's not a stretch. It's convenient to wrap things in the futon and not touch them. I'll pack it for you, I will. Wang Leining rolled up her sleeves and was about to pack the futon, when she suddenly remembered something. I wrapped my luggage. Where are you sleeping tonight? Why don't I come back tomorrow morning? I want to. In the afternoon, Lin Jie wanted to say that she wanted to mail things away in the afternoon, but suddenly remembered that the nearest town from here didn't seem to be able to mail such a large package. If you want to mail such a large package, you have to go to the county seat, and it takes about 2 hours to get to the county seat, and there is no car to the county seat now. Mainyo, if you can trust me, I'll mail you. Ingzi, what are you talking about? I can't believe it, and no one can trust you. That's it, you help me mail it. I'm not very good at packing luggage, you see, what can be rolled in, how much can be rolled, and I don't want the rest. I can get you pots and pans, it's this bed, this table, chairs, cupboards, and coal stoves. Take your house. No, I have it, I'll sell it for you. That's a good idea. Good work, Ingzi. What are you talking about, who are the 2 of us? Beauty, are you home in the afternoon? No, I went to the town for a walk. I came here for so long, and I didn't say that I would go shopping, and I didn't come back in vain to go to the town. It's a pity that I still have to go to work in the afternoon, otherwise I would have been with you. No, I'll walk around and I'll be back. The chubby girl has been here for 2 months, and the relationship with this place is not very deep. However, this is not the case in the original book. In the book, the chubby girl has lived here for 2 years. The relationship between the 3 of Chubby Beauty, Wang Jianjian, and Kai Pearl is much more complicated than now. At that time, the relationship between Wang Jianxi and Kai Pearl has been underground, and Kai Pearl's popularity is much better than now. On the surface, the Chubby Beauty doesn't care, but in fact, her heart is very painful. Once, the Chubby Beauty was depressed, sneaked into the town, and met an old man who was also miserable, and the 2 comforted each other, so they had a little bit of warmth. Is about to leave the town, Lin Jie wants to go to see the old man, which can be regarded as the end of life here. The town is not far from the barracks, a 20-minute walk. The town is not big, with only 1 main street. On both sides of the street are houses, and there are about 100 households. The old man Lin Jie is looking for should work in the slaughterhouse according to the introduction in the book. The fate of that man and the chubby girl was almost dumped by a man. The difference is that the person has a child. In the book, Chubby meets her son, who is already dead. At this time, Lin Jie appeared nearly a year earlier than the Chubby Beauty in the book. I don't know if her son is still there at this time. Girl. Lin Jie turned her head and saw an old woman with gray hair standing at the gate. Girl, is there anything wrong with you? Auntie, I want to buy some pork, but I don't have a ticket. Lin Jie pulled the corner of her clothes a little embarrassed. Need it at home? I see you've been walking around here a few times. Auntie, my grandfather is sick, so he wants to eat dumplings filled with pure meat. I went to the supply and marketing cooperatives to buy it, and people asked for meat tickets, but I didn't. I thought about trying my luck here, but the door was closed and the porter was still locked. I don't know where everyone has gone. This kid doesn't often buy meat. In the factory, pigs are usually killed in the morning when the sky is not dawn, and it is just dawn to clean up the profits, and you can still buy meat at that time. but you also need meat tickets. At this time, noon has passed, and the people in the factory have rested. Where can they still buy meat? What then? Grandpa is old, and this time the illness is not light, I'm afraid. Auntie, are you a staff member here? Can you please sell me a piece of meat? Girl, I'm just a gatekeeper. Don't say that there is no meat in the workshop. Even if there is meat, I have no right to sell it to you. Listening to the old woman's words, Lin Jie's heart moved. Gatekeeper? I don't know if it's surnamed Xing. Auntie, please, help me. People are hungry when they are sick. I don't buy much, just enough for the elderly. You kid has filial piety. Filial piety? The beauty laughed secretly in her heart, cursing people to be sick and filial piety? However, I don't know where Chubby Grandpa's grandfather is, so I'll curse it. Girl, come with me, I'll treat you a little. I bought a piece of the pig I killed today, and I wanted to make something delicious for my son. Hey, my son is also sick. There was a hint of sorrow in the old woman's voice. Her son is still alive. Mainyo's heart moved. Auntie, are you surnamed Xing? Yes, how do you know? I've heard of it, and they all say that your heart is good. Lin Jie smiled and said softly. This kid's mouth is so sweet. Hey, my son is your age, too. I used to be lively, but now I'm sick. Auntie, why don't you take him to the big hospital to have a look? Girl, it's so easy to go to a big hospital. In this era, it is difficult for a widow to live with a child. Comparatively speaking, the mother of a chubby girl is much luckier than the person in front of her, because she has so many people to help her. Chubby babes were raised almost free range. Girl, I have 2 small pieces of meat here, one for you. It's not big, it's less than half a catty, but it's enough to make dumplings for the old man. Take it and go home. There were 2 small pieces of meat hanging on the side of the table, and the old woman picked up the large, fat and thin piece and handed it to Lin Jie, who took the meat and was moved in her heart. You must know that in this era, materials are scarce, and those with coarse rice may be able to eat enough, but eating meat is still a luxury, not a matter of money or not, but a ticket to buy anything, and you can't buy it without a ticket. Thank you, Auntie. Thank you, I'm just giving it to you, not asking for money. Thank you for that. Auntie, give you money. Lin Jie took out a piece of money of 100 yuan and put it on the table. Auntie, go and see a doctor for the child, don't stand up, if the condition is serious, it will be too late to regret it. You kid. I can't ask for so much. The old woman hurriedly picked up the 100 yuan on the table and wanted to return it to Lin Jie, but Lin Jie ran away. Auntie, you must take your son to the hospital.